Alright guys, so this is a video discussing Eula. So yeah, in this video I'm going to discuss Eula and why I think she's so good. And once I'm done discussing that, I'll also discuss briefly about what I probably think her artifact sets are going to be. Like her best artifacts builds. And I'll throw in some team composition stuff in there as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Eula. First off, something that's weird is that she has really high HP and defense. Her HP is 13,000 and level 90, which is pretty high. And her defense, 751, is like one of the highest defense in the game, I think. Yeah. And her base attack is the second highest base attack in the game now. Which is insane. Because before this, the second highest attack stat was tied between Ganyu and Diluc at 335. And the current highest attack stat is still Xiao at 349 attack. But Eula is so close with 342. Which already is pretty insane. And also she levels up with crit damage, which we all see how strong Hu Tao and Ganyu are, and they scale with crit damage. So her scaling with crit damage is also really good, because it makes her really easy to get to like 200% crit damage. And that's when you get like some crazy damage. Now her normal attacks aren't that big a deal. They are the typical Claymore normal attack stats. Claymores have pretty high modifiers on the normal attacks, but that's because Claymore normal attacks are pretty slow. Now these normal attacks modifiers aren't really that impressive. They're like slightly above Beidou's if I remember correctly. But her main power comes from her skill and her burst. Ice Tide Vortex. So to summarize what this does, you can press it and then it'll do this press damage modifier here. At level 10 it does 263% damage, which is really nice. And it gains a stack of Grimheart. You can get 2 stacks at a time when you do this. So you press the E 2 times. And each stack also increases Eula's resistance to interruption and defense, which is also a nice bonus. But then once you have 2 stacks, each E is around 4 seconds, by the way, so you'll get about 8 stacks. Oh wait, no, sorry. You'll take about 8 seconds to get 2 stacks. And now her hold E, oh my god. So her hold E has a pretty dang high modifier of 442% at level 10. And it consumes the stacks that you had before this. And each stack becomes an Ice World brand, which is right here, Ice World brand damage. If you have 2 stacks, this will hit twice. And not only will it hit twice, it'll also decrease the enemy's physical resistance and cryo resistance by 25% at level 10. Zhongli's resistance decrease is 20%, and we all know how good that is. It's insane, and she just has 25% right off the bat, just with her E. And now her hold E is really strong, because if you calculate it, so 442 is her hold E multiplier, and then you add by 172 2 times because there's 2 stacks, and her E is already doing 786% of your damage. That is an ult level modifier, because Hu Tao's ult modifier is around this, and that's an ult that's doing like 2 million on YouTube. So you know, yeah. Just to give you a perspective of how high this modifier is, just for the skill. It gets even crazier in her ultimate. In her ultimate, what she does is she deals cryo damage to nearby opponents. So when you activate your ult, it has a skill damage here where you do 1 instance of cryo damage. At level 10 it does 370%, which is really nice. And then it creates a Lightfall sword that follows her for a certain duration. We have no idea how long the duration is right now, but if I had to guess, it's probably somewhere in 20. It's probably like, it'll last at least 10 seconds, because realistically it should last during the period of superconduct, and superconduct lasts 12 seconds. MiHoYo is really good at designing characters and their kits, so I think MiHoYo will take superconduct into account and make the duration at least as long as the superconduct reaction time. So we can assume that it's going to be over 10 seconds. Now, when it first spawns in, it has a base damage of 697% at level 10. So, just with these two hits, 370 plus 697, she's already doing 1067% damage. Just like that. But no, it gets even better. Because this part, Eula can do any normal attack, any skill, or any burst to gain 1 stack every 0.1 seconds. Each stack at level 10 gives her 127.5% extra damage. Now, you're like, oh, 127.5% damage. That isn't too much. But then you look at the maximum stacks that you can get and it's 30. Now, there is one thing about that. If you get 30 stacks, you are doing this. And if I just add this into here, you're doing 4,892% of your damage on your ult. Just one ult. Remember how like over 1,000 wasn't even really achievable unless you did like reactions? You don't even need to do any reactions for her, and she does 4,892% at her best case scenario. What is this? What is this? Now, also, here's another thing. Her first hit is Cryo, but every other hit is physical. Now, you might think that's bad, because you can't do any melt reactions with it, but that's not much of a problem, because Superconduct reduces physical resistance of enemies by 40% for 12 seconds. So like instead of doing melts or vaporize, you're getting 40% minus resistance on your ult. Now, it's not really 40% resistance because most enemies have 10% resistance, and once they go below 0%, resistance is basically halved. It's quite an advanced. It's quite an advanced thing, where minus 40% resistance usually ends up being minus 25% resistance, but that's okay. Still, 25% resistance is a lot, especially when we're dealing with numbers like this. Now, just absolutely through the moon. And if that wasn't enough, this special passive is the only one that exists where she can double the product of a character talent material. The only character talent boost that exists is a refund version, which kind of sucks. Doubling the product is much better. And her passives are also very strong, because when you're doing her E, right, you get 2 stacks, and then you do hold E to remove her stacks. She does an extra 50% of the basic physical damage dealt by the Lightfall Sword, which we discussed has 697%. So 697 divided by 2. Yeah, she's just doing 348% extra damage on every time she does hold E. Yeah, seems legit. And then when her normal attacks crit, her skill cooldown decreases by 0.3 seconds. So the cooldown goes even lower. Like, she's so busted. Her only flaw I really see is 80 energy cost. That's it. But that's fine, because her E is so strong, and it's so spammable too. And like whenever you activate her ult, you really get an ult. You get massive damage. So it's not even that much of a problem that you're not getting it that often, because it's literally 4,800%. And let's say like, let's be a bit more realistic. Let's say you can't get 30 stacks. You'll get like half, which is 15 stacks. You're in 70 plus 697 plus 127.5. No, not yet. 1067. And then if I bring up my other calculator, 127.5 times 15 stacks, you're still doing a ridiculous 2,979% damage. Not a single character in this game can get to that percent multiplier. Not a single one. So you can imagine how insane her ult's going to be. Now, I didn't want to leave everything to imagination, so I sat down and I did a bunch of calculations. I will keep a lookout for tomorrow, because I will organize this math into a much more readable Excel sheet. But I just really wanted to do the math as quick as possible, so I could just bring this video out as possible and bring as much attention to Eula as possible, that she's absolutely ridiculous, and you probably will not go wrong with starting to save for her right now. So for this calculation, I assume that she has 1,922 attack, random number, I know, but it's fine. This bracket here is with Pyro Resonance, and 200% crit damage, because she levels up with crit damage, so it's very easy for her to get 200%. And I also added this. She's fighting level 100 enemies, which are the highest level enemies in the game right now. So enemy resistance is incredibly high. And I'm going to use level 10 talents, of course, because you want to maximize a character, is my philosophy, if you want to build them as a DPS. So, now also, before I get into the math too, you can build her with a cryo damage goblet or physical damage goblet. If you want to get her ult doing some ridiculous numbers, you build her physical, because a lot of her damage from her ult comes from physical. But her E does a ton of cryo damage. So you can also build her with cryo damage bonus goblet as well, and it will work just fine. It's really just up to your preference. So I also calculated with cryo goblet and with physical goblet. Now to summarize all this crazy math. I'm also assuming, I also forgot to mention that I'm also putting Xin Yan in every calculation that I do. Because what Xin Yan does is, if you just use her E to activate her shield, you get an extra 15% physical damage just for free. Which boosts Eula's ult. Now this is ult damage only. This is damage from one ultimate. So with Xin Yan only, and Cryo Goblet, which doesn't really buff her ult, she does 113,000 damage with Super Conduct, and 96,000 without Super Conduct. And now let's add Pyro Resonance. She does 128,000 with Super Conduct, and no Super Conduct she does 107,000. Remember how these are like level 100 enemies that we're up against. So your damage is effectively halved. And she's still doing 100k with one ult. And now, to have some fun, I put in some Mona ult calculations. And against level 100 enemies, Super Conduct, she does 170,000 damage. And no Super Conduct, she does 144,000 damage. So you might think these numbers are already really crazy, because these are some insane numbers. You're not even using... There's no Bennett involved here, by the way. There's no Sucrose involved here, by the way. This is just Xin Yan alone. Xin Yan with Mona. That's it. Xin Yan, Mona, and Pyro Resonance. That's all I'm using. I'm not using Bennett or Sucrose. If I use them, which I will tomorrow, it's going to get even crazier. Believe me. Because these are numbers that other characters do with Bennett and Sucrose. But she just does them immediately. And now with Physical Goblet, are you guys ready for this? Against level 100 enemies, Xinyan alone, no Pyro Resonance. Assuming you only have her and Xinyan on the team, her oh yeah, and Official as well to get Superconduct. Her Superconduct does 161,000 damage. Yeah, it's quite something. And then no Superconduct, she does 136,572. Also, yeah, I forgot to mention too that all these calculations are done with 15 stacks, as you can see with the 15 times 15 everywhere. I'm not using the 30 stacks. I'm using 15 stacks, and the damage you're gonna see is pretty nuts. Anyway, so with Pyro Resonance, she's now doing 181,953 with Superconduct, and no Superconduct, she does 153,411. And then with Mona, she does 240,000 Superconduct, and then no Superconduct, 202,000. This is against level 100 freaking enemies. If you're fighting enemies that are lower than this, you're going to do upwards of like double the damage listed here, because resistance against level 100 is basically like half your damage. It halves your damage, so imagine how ridiculous this is. And this is just from one ult. I will have more calculations tomorrow, so you will get to see just how insane she is. But for now, that's what I have. And okay, so now let's get into her artifacts. Now, as in terms of artifacts, there might be new artifacts that come, because she'll probably come in like 1.5, and that's a lot of time in between. Now, I noticed that there's a new artifact here in Honey Impact, Glacier and Snowfield, which is 2-piece cryo damage bonus 15, and 4-piece increased superconduct damage by 100%, which I have no idea what that means. And then increases melt damage by 15%, and using an elemental burst increases cryo damage bonus by 30% for 10 seconds. Now, first off, if you want to go ult build, then your best bet, if you want to go ult build, is 2-set Bloodstained Chivalry for the physical damage plus 25%, and then either 2-set Gladiator for the 18% attack, because she has really high attack, or 2-set Noblesse for the elemental burst damage plus 20%. So the first build I would recommend is 2-set Bloodstained Chivalry, and then 2-set Noblesse Obliged / Gladiator's Finale. The second build I would recommend is Icebreaker and Glacier and Snowfield 2-set. Now, you might be wondering, why? Well, because 2-piece of Icebreaker is cryo damage 15%, and 2-piece of Glacier and Snowfield is cryo damage 15%. You can use them both, so you get 30% cryo damage bonus immediately. And now, really, the last recommendation is 4-piece Glacier and Snowfield. Now, I'm not sure how well it'll actually do. I have no idea what this means. Increases superconduct damage by 100%. Increases melt damage. You're probably not going to be really doing melt on her. And using an elemental burst increases cryo damage bonus. I'm not sure how good that is, actually. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't really recommend Icebreaker 4-set because this crit rate is kind of overkill, to be honest. So yeah, that's what I think about artifact sets. And now, team compositions. I'm just going to throw some wild things out there. So, first of all, I think one of her best partners will be Xinyan, because Xinyan can just activate her shield on her E, and then it gives 15% physical damage bonus. Again, and also, Fischl and Beidou are huge as well, because Fischl and Beidou are going to allow her to do superconduct very easily. Bennett, of course, is very huge, because he's Bennett. Lisa will actually be really good as well, because she can also work as an electro support, and she actually has minus defense, which does a lot to increase damage at a high level. And Xingqiu and Mona could also work. I'm not exactly sure how a freeze build would work on her, but I guess it could. You could also use your Ganyu as well, or any Cryo character really, to like generate her ult much faster if you want to. And of course you can use Zhongli for the shield if you want, but you could use him with other characters. You can use Zhongli with anywhere, so it doesn't really count. Venti as well. You can use him anywhere, so it doesn't really count. So yeah, I think that's about it for her team compositions. I think Eula's best team composition though currently will probably involve something like Eula, Xinyan, Fischl / Beidou or / Lisa, and then whoever you want as the 4th slot. Like Bennett maybe. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. I really wanted to put this video out because I'm so excited for Eula. She looks so strong. And I hope you guys found this helpful. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a more updated, actually more organized mathematical analysis on Eula.